Thank you for joining us once again. Today's seminar is based upon how to progress a little bit further from maybe just specializing for a clothing company and in fact understand web design in a lot more depth. So welcome to our seminar for how to build a website. I'm going to start with this short clip as it's an excellent summary. It has been shared in one of our other videos before, but we're only using it again because of how simple and effective it is to get across. Plus, the most important part of this too, also trying to make sure that that fear of the tech side of things is totally removed. So before I even click play on this, one of the most important points I want to get across is how simple web design is in 2022 moving forwards. Compared to what it was like 15, 20 years ago when you needed, a whole team of geeks to be able to help you figure this out. Now, that's not to say that you can't do advanced levels with geeks still, but helpfully for most people out there looking to start creating some sort of new opportunity and maybe using a website to help make it look more official or kind of quantified and certified, which again, turning that back into sort of simple language, is just making stuff look believable and realistic and like it's, in line with a brand. A website's a really powerful tool to do that. It's also a really helpful place to get quick, easy information over to potential and long-term customers, as well as also creating a point of sale. And we're going to understand how to create traffic for that in a little bit more depth later in the seminar. But just to start off with, I'm going to click play here and we're going to understand what WordPress is and why WordPress helps so many people to make websites these days without having to be a super nerd like the days gone in previous years. So let's just take in this video for a second and better understand what WordPress is, what it does, and how it can help you if you want to design a website.
So if you're watching this video, it's probably because you've heard of the name WordPress because you're looking to start your first website. If that's the case, then I highly recommend sticking around till the end of the video. But first, let's answer the question of what is WordPress. Simply put, WordPress is just a software that you use to build your very own website or blog and publish it on the internet. It is also called a content management system, or CMS, for you tech whizzes out there that like the lingo. It was created back in 2000.
I want to pick up on that straight away. The other thing that's really helpful about having a content management system is if you've never done this before, it will help you to start to plan and also consolidate a lot of the information, pictures, products and services that you're trying to maybe get to the market or share with the world. So just picking up on the word there, content management system, a lot of people aren't aware these days that starting to use a website will also help you to organize a company quite simply. So if you've also never run a business and you're taking, a bold step in a new area, the cool thing about a website is it actually makes you start to understand what you're trying to do, and it will also teach you over time how to get stuff in front of audiences and sell well versus poorly. And there's nothing wrong with learning. So once again, don't be kind of beaten up by any mistakes that you learn, in the process. These are really, really valuable kind of lessons. And if you don't learn from them and instead all you do is get offended or upset and think you've failed, you're really missing some of the most important parts of what we're trying to learn in this process. So again, just picking up that content management systems really help and will probably help your planning in general, because you're going to start realizing how many times you've maybe over communicated, whereas you could just say this within this area, this in this area. And so it kind of makes you a little bit better as well with how to market and pitch yourself, perhaps when you're working in person too. Anyway, I'll let the video keep playing.
2003, and since then it has become one of the most popular website publishing programs in the world. In fact, WordPress powers 30% of the internet. That's a lot of freaking websites. And guess what the best part is? It's free. Why?
So this is really important. We tend to pick up on resources that don't cost lots in the first place, and you're going to see there are some other associated costs. But if you really just needed to get information out to the world and the internet, You know, WordPress is one of the best ways to do it. You can do it for absolutely nothing. We've covered this in some of our other seminars, or you can start to purchase through website building companies like Wix, GoDaddy, and you'll see we've got some other kind of commercial shop-based website builders, but all of these use WordPress as the software to run your website. So again, we're just trying to help you with a simple kind of format that's very easy to use. And these days, everything that required lots of coding is now done using these really helpful and intuitive blocks. So, you know, it's really just clicking buttons and making a decision. It's not having to learn to code at all in any way, but I'll let the video explain it better.
Because WordPress is an open source software, meaning that there's thousands of software engineers out there that are working on it every day to make it better and better. So shout out to those silent guardians, watchful protectors, this is a Batman quote. The beauty of WordPress is that you're able to choose from 11,000 different themes.
So just to explain, the theme is just how a website looks. It then starts to fall in line with how you want your brand to look too. So it's quite clever to figure this out from the beginning. And again, it would be as simple as deciding, you know, are you trying to do something music-based perhaps? You know, what kind of theme matches a music-based business or musician? You know, compared to a clothing based one, which you may want to look a little bit more corporate. Again, you might be doing something based around a record label, for example. Again, you're going to want that to appear more corporate. So it's important to choose a theme, which is just how the website looks. It sounds really complicated, but it's just making a decision and clicking a button again.
Which are just template layouts that determine the look and style of your website. You're able to tweak all of the text, including fonts and font sizes. You can create buttons, you can upload your images and videos, and much more. You can also choose from over 55,000 plugins and widgets to help optimize the functionality of your website.
A widget and a plugin are basically little devices that add new aspects that WordPress may not have initially, but you kind of want to add some sort of upgrade. So I don't know, you might want to click on a button and something opens up to play a video and it has a cool kind of edit that happens with that, or you may want to put a different style of shopping basket in for the way that your shop works, for example. This is where widgets and plugins will help you, but don't worry, we're going to keep kind of educating on this as much as possible as the seminar continues.
So this is for people that want to maybe start a store or open up a gallery or whatever it is on their website. There's endless opportunity. Oh, and building your website with WordPress is all online. So you can build your website from anywhere that you are as long as you have an internet connection. So
in 2022, obviously, all of this can be done using a smartphone or a smart device, or obviously, if you have the luxury of internet, you know, at your home, you can obviously plug in using some sort of laptop or desktop computer. And obviously, the ability to edit is even more helpful and intuitive through that as well.
How does WordPress work? Well, back when the internet was still somewhat of a new thing, the only way to make a website was to use code in HTML or PHP format. And your web browser would just interpret this code into colors and text and spaces that would form your website. Well, WordPress works exactly like this, except no coding. Basically, it takes any change that you make on your website and updates the code for you and then updates your website. So never touching coding. Thank God, because that stuff is like Japanese. To me, I'm American. Now, if you're looking to make your first website, you may or may not have noticed that there's a WordPress.com and a WordPress.org. So you might be wondering, well, which one should I choose? Well, WordPress.com is where you can go to make a free website with their web hosting. But
I would do that if you're going to blog. Okay, so if you just want to have an opinion and put stuff out there, you can go down that line. But as you'll see, he explains in a second, there's not many benefits to do using the WordPress solution. I personally would go outside of that these days and use something through Wix, GoDaddy, or another type of platform like that, which will then get you to use WordPress.org, which means you're just borrowing the software and you can control all the other aspects yourself. We're not going to promote any platform particularly because there are many in the market, so we're not biased to any one in particular, but there are a lot of solutions that offer the same, and essentially you just need to understand the basics, which are covered in some of the other videos we're due to share in this session as well today. But the main point that we wanted to kind of get across early in this seminar here is Number one, no coding required. Number two, very simple and a huge solution used worldwide currently. Number three, only really requires decisions, a little bit of text entered when you want to talk about yourself, and not having to do any of the major code planning anymore. So yeah, very helpful and very easy to get hands on and learn a new skill quickly.
But there's a catch. Actually, there's several catches. First, your website could be deleted at any time if WordPress feels that you have violated their terms of service for any reason.
This is probably the major reason why you wouldn't want to use a WordPress.com solution and go to someone like Wix or GoDaddy instead, where you'll use WordPress.org. But you'll see it all explained in a second.
Because number two, you can't use ads to make money with your website. Number three, you can't upload any plugins which help you optimize the functionality of your website. Number four, you can't upload a customizable theme. You only have their limited options. Number five, you do not own your domain name, so it will say something like yourdomainname.wordpress.com. And you're likely here because you want to make your first website with your very own unique domain name and no limitations. If that's the case, you're going to want to be self-hosted and use wordpress.org, which is just where you.
So your domain name is your www.whateveryourname.com. Yeah. So a lot of this video as well will be to decipher some of the jargon and make it a lot simpler for you to understand too.
You can download their free software. Let me explain. By being self-hosted, you have access to thousands of plugins. You have a unique domain name that you own yourself. You have the ability to monetize your website with ads if you're trying to make those dollar bills. You have the option to create an online store, and you have complete customization over your website. So how do you create a self-hosted website with WordPress? If you go over to createaprowebsite.com, I created a completely free step-by-step guide that walks you through the whole process of creating your first website with WordPress. And you can do it in under 30 minutes. I walk you through getting your hosting, selecting your domain name, and customizing your website. So check it out, I'll stick a link in the description for you. And before you go, every new subscriber and like that I get on this video helps my humble channel grow. So if you wouldn't mind, smash that.
So the main thing to take from this here is obviously trying to use a solution external to WordPress's own option is great. And for anyone out there that was kind of still interested in this option, I will just open this part here. We'll go back in a second, but it highlights, so for £15 a month, you build monthly, but as the guy said in the video, it is quite limited what you can do in there. And if they don't like the terms and conditions, based on the content you're sharing, there is a chance it could be pulled down. So I personally wouldn't use this. What I wanted to do instead was try and help you understand just how much WordPress is used typically for website design in 2022 and forwards. And how easy it is to interact with it these days. As they say here, you can build simply, create any kind of website, no code, no manuals, no limits. So a lot of the time it's just finding good pictures, and we're going to cover stuff to do with that shortly, making sure that you're safe throughout the process too. Again, a theme is how the website looks. There's loads of people that have coded all these themes, so you haven't got to do any of the coding. You've just got to choose once again. And then the last thing that you do here is you build with blocks. Blocks sounds really complicated, but basically a block is some sort of tool within WordPress that helps you present a form of content. It could be a video, it could be a button, it could be a text box, it could be an image, it could be a SoundCloud link. And again, you'll see there's loads and loads and loads and loads of different choices to be able to work within blocks as well. We're going to see some people actually putting a website together shortly, so you can have a look at that in more detail in a second. So I'm going to go to here quickly and just start from this point here, where we've got a really good summary as to how does WordPress work and what you would do to build up on it. Some of it was covered in the video before, but you're going to see it kind of progresses a little bit further again. So I'm going to pick the video up from here.
So I put together a really simple graphic to show you this. And we're going to go through the stack of a website. The thing that unites all of them across the web are domain name and web host.
So just to clarify again, a domain name is your www.whatever.com.co.uk, whatever you want your dot to finish in these days. And it used to just be .com.co.uk. Now it's pretty much anything. So again, if you're a music studio, there'd be nothing to be www.mystudio. mymusic.studio, for example, could be your website. So really think outside the box, and the more you go away from a .com now as well in 2022 forwards, the cheaper it typically is, and obviously the less traffic it picks up with confusing associates. Lots of people have used .com historically. Okay, your host is like a cloud on the internet is the best way of describing it. So it's like a storage unit that helps you put all the content from your content management system, which in this case is WordPress. Sounds very complicated, but it's like a big internet hard drive is a simple way of saying it. Okay, and you will need those in place to be able to make people get to your .com or whatever your website address is. So hopefully that explains what a domain and a host is.
You need those two things to get online. One of them is your address, and the other is kind of like your house, where you can store all your stuff. And WordPress is nothing more than software built on top of that to manage your stuff. It's a content management system, so if you want to build a site, like I said, a blog is ideal for WordPress. If that's what you want, I have free training to help you launch your blog in 14 days, taking you through that step-by-step process. I'll link that up here in the top right and in the description below if you want to check that out. And WordPress is software that's built with PHP code, so it's just a bunch of PHP files on your website with a couple other, web files, and all the content is stored in a database. So basically, your web host needs to support PHP code and have the ability to create a database. And if it does those two things, then you can use any website host to launch your WordPress website. Now, one of the big confusing points is that there's two WordPress websites, WordPress.com and WordPress.org. And WordPress.com is basically a service that bundles these two things. It's WordPress with their own hosting. The funny thing about that is if you are on their lowest level package, they don't give you the full version of WordPress. And that's because they want their host to be optimized. And if they gave you full control of that, they wouldn't be able to do that. And really, that's the same thing that all the other big website builder services do, like Squarespace and Wix and Weebly. They bundle the website builder along with the domain and the web host, but it's just so easy to use that they don't give you a lot of flexibility, and they don't give you the power to edit however you want. And that's what WordPress.org is for. You can either download WordPress directly from WordPress.org. It comes in as a zip file, and you can upload it to your web host. Or most web hosts today, they come built in with a way to quickly install WordPress. And on my channel, and as part of that 14-day blog training, I go through 3 of the most popular web hosts out there and show you how to install WordPress step by step. And the nice thing about that is, once again, you have the flexibility to move from host to host if you ever need to upgrade. Most people start out with cheap and affordable hosting so they can get their website out there. And then over time, if you build traffic, you might need to upgrade to a host that's more optimized for high traffic and high speed. Now, on top of WordPress, web developers can create themes, which are basically like designs for WordPress, and plugins, which are ways to add functions to your WordPress website. And this is another great feature of WordPress. There's so many, probably thousands and thousands of themes and plugins that you can choose from. Most of them are free, and there's a lot that have paid upgrades that help you do really cool stuff or hook into other services that you might want to link up with your WordPress website. In that 14-day blog training, I use the theme that actually WordPress puts out. It's a free theme that they put out every year or every 2 years. The one they just put out is called 2020. They name it after the year. And then for people that are looking to build a business website, the theme that I recommend, which is actually the most popular theme for WordPress, is called Divi. And what that is it's a page builder. So it makes it easy to visually build your website without having to know code or customize through an existing theme. You can kind of get the exact look you want by dragging and dropping and using the content modules that they have available to you. So I'll include a link to Divi below if you want to check them out. And I also have a full tutorial building a Divi website that I'm going to preview a little later in this video. I'll link that up here as well. Once you have the base of your website built out, then what's going to drive you and propel you forward from there is content. You need blog posts, you need pages to get traffic. You want to think about the niche that you're in and what would be the ideal traffic source. This is where marketing comes into play. And
So we're starting to use quite a lot of technical words here, and I just want to simplify because a lot of these videos are about trying to give you that confidence to try something new and realize that, yes, you may have to kind of learn a couple of lessons en route, but some of this stuff is nowhere near as hard as it sounds. And I think that's one thing that's really important now in 2022. There's so many jargon words in all these industries, and often they sound intimidating and put people off, but website design is a remarkably simple process. So really, just to kind of summarize through here, you sort this element out, which you could do simply here by going to business, for example, and I don't know, say you want to create a fitness website, yeah, and it will give you options to start figuring out how you want to do this, some looks to go with all of this. But bringing this back to what we're learning in here, this is your domain and host already covered. They've already got through to the themes and plugins stage because they're starting to show you stuff that's relevant towards a fitness-based business. And then they're asking you to add this content in. And obviously WordPress is what is done or used to kind of create some of this stuff. So it's really, really complicated, but it really, really isn't. So please don't be put off by mega jargon words, yeah?
you have to get above the tech stuff and start getting creative with how you go out there and get people to your website. And that's what I have mentioned here. Once you have your site out there and you start to get traffic, you can use a service like Google Analytics, which that's going to give you a report of your web traffic, and it's going to tell you where your traffic's coming from. You can see what efforts that you've done are working.
So this is really important to start picking up on now, and I hope you can see it's just 5 simple stages here. You start off buying something, which kind of means it's official. You've dedicated an effort towards it. Immediately, WordPress is offered as part of that solution anyway. WordPress is very, very simple to use. You have a little play around with the themes. You find something that looks pretty and interesting. If there's stuff that you've noticed on other websites, you're like, oh, that's cool. Often you'll find out that was a plugin that was doing that sort of function or part of the website. You can go and search. Like I say, there's plugins for free. You can pay for plugins, which obviously get you even more comprehensive support and service. And start building your content around that. And again, your content pages is where we kind of go back to the previous video. So you've done a little plan, you're starting to think, and just doing something like your about page, yeah, compared to your home page. What do you want to get across when people come and find out about that? So some of this stuff sounds really complicated, but often it's just starting making the effort. Go and sit with someone who you think's better at doing this than you are, perhaps. Get some feedback, get some input from them. Stuff that seems unachievable will be achievable because at least you've made a start. You're putting it in front of other parties, and then they can start to help you too. Same way, if you ever need any help, anyone watching this video going through this process here, feel free to send your stuff that you've started to do, to our email address, which is goldsealacademy@gmail.com, which is shared on the screen for you. We can give you feedback, some pointers. We've done this stuff for a long time, so again, we're always happy to help and share more information back with you guys that way. But here, these 5 building blocks show you how simple it is to start a website, and then also importantly get people on it and using it, so all of that can turn into money for you as the person creating. Okay, I'm going to keep playing the video just so that we can take in some of the other pointers, and obviously if anything else is complicated, I'll keep explaining as is now.
Which ones didn't really do anything or move the needle. And then ultimately, what you want to do is collect leads and turn that traffic into money. It's never been more possible to turn a passion that you have or a hobby that you have into an online income. And frankly, this is why I've been so interested in WordPress over the span of over 10 years now. I've been fascinated by how you can build an online platform that brings you money and separates you from needing to look for a job locally. Now let's dig in a little bit more into the file hierarchy. We're going to go into my web host and just look at the files on the web server, and you're going to see what a WordPress installation looks like. I have an FTP program open, and that just connects me to my web server. Normally all web servers have a file manager built into it if you just want to do it online. But I'm logged in here to a WordPress installation, and this is what you're going to want to look for. If you see these files and directories, you know that WordPress is installed. These are the 3 directories, WP admin, and this is why when you type in yourdomain.com/wp-admin, if you type in that directory,
I'm not going to echo what they're saying here. I don't think the majority of you need to worry about your FTP. That's quite complicated and geeky, but the one thing I did want to bring to your attention is that every website can also then be accessed by an administrator by after the website's name, so www.whatever.com/wp-admin, and then this is how you go in and start to be able to edit in WordPress.
Name, you're going to get redirected to your admin panel where you can manage your website. So all the files that make up that admin area are within there. Down here you have WP includes, and these are other important functional files, Fs or anything. It should be in that training of child themes. Have a child theme, then it's going to times if your is going to be before. So there's a for have file that every template needs is this index.php on the. If your PHP doesn't exist, it'll use index.php. And if you're looking to learn a little bit of PHP, WordPress has built-in functions that you can do. Like for an example, an easy one is you can check.
So this is starting to get a bit more complicated, and I think I'm going to bring this video to a close here because it's got across the main points that I want. Obviously, if you want to go back and check any of the resources shared, all of the web links shared in this video are shared on a Word document for you to be able to go and look at everything that was covered during the seminar too. I'm not going to force PHP at the minute. It is a helpful skill set to learn again, but the main thing I'm trying to do is get you to feel confident about how websites kind of function technically, as well as how simple they are to start to action.